Welcome to Music Theory Fundamentals. This course is designed for those with absolutely no musical knowledge, so if you cannot read sheet music, you are in the right place. By the end of this course, you'll be able to read music notation at a basic level, understand how chords are constructed, and identify a few different types of scales. So, let's begin. Music notation today, in its most basic form, is quite simple. It is a system made up of no less than 5 lines, a clef, and a few notes. Each note represents a pitch and is always centered on a line or a space. This system of 5 lines and a clef is called a staff. Notes written high on the staff are higher in pitch than those written lower on the staff. Notes written to the left are read before notes written to the right. The clef serves as a legend. It tells us which lines and spaces on the staff correspond to what pitches. For example, the treble clef here shows us that the second line from the bottom corresponds to the pitch G, and by extension the space above it corresponds to A, and the next line B, and so on. With this information you can then play the indicated pitch on your instrument or sing it. Now historically the treble clef used to be quite clear in its meaning. You can see here that the early treble clef was literally the letter G, but over the years the treble clef was stylized into what we have today. Another common clef is the bass clef. The bass clef tells us with its 2 dots that the line that is the second from the top corresponds to the pitch F. There are other clefs, but for now we'll stick to these 2 as they are the most common. Now back to the treble clef. Since we know that the second line from the bottom corresponds to G, we can easily find the pitches to which the other lines correspond. All pitches can be expressed as the letters A through G, with G in this line being higher pitched than A. However, once we go above G, the alphabet simply repeats and we reach A again, but this A is higher pitched than the other A. If we go in the other direction, lower than A, we get G again. This alphabet of 7 pitches from A to G repeats infinitely in both directions. Here's what that alphabet looks like on the treble clef staff. From our original G, we can extend the pitches in each direction and figure out the pitches that belong to the remaining lines and spaces. You might be wondering then, why not just write out the pitches in letter form instead of using notes and clefs? Well, believe it or not, it's actually faster to read the notes than it is to read the letters. Beginners might find it useful to write out the names of the pitches in letter form until they develop comfort with the notes. With experience, we can understand the notes instinctively while we play our instrument. It's entirely possible, and quite common, to read and play the notes at first sight without prior study. This activity is known as sight reading. Now that we've seen how notes can be written on a staff for later reading, let's look a little more closely at our 7 pitches. In fact, the first thing that we should note is that there are more than 7 pitches. They live between the letters we've already discussed, and they can be reached by applying sharps or flats to our 7 pitches. The sharp symbol is the one that looks like the pound or hashtag sign, while the flat symbol looks like a squashed lowercase letter B. If we want to write the pitch that is slightly higher than A but lower than B, we could either notate it as A sharp or B flat. So in essence, you get to choose how you want to write it, but we will see later that there are reasons for wanting to use one over the other. You may have noticed that there is no B sharp, C flat, E sharp, or F flat. That is because they don't exist. There is no unique pitch between B and C or between E and F, so you cannot apply sharps or flats in an attempt to access a pitch that is, for example, higher than B but lower than C. B sharp sounds exactly the same as C, C flat sounds exactly the same as B, E sharp sounds exactly the same as F, and F flat sounds exactly the same as E. Finally, together, all of these pitches make up a palette of 12 notes that is used by most music today. Music theory addresses how these notes relate to one another, as well as how they function in a specific composition. That's all for this lesson. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.